Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Denver Gridiron and Hoops. We got myself, David McDougall. We got VMAC, and we got a special guest, our nephew Benjamin Brecklund. Tell me, guys, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Better now that I get to talk some shit about the Broncos and Nuggets.
Hey,
Yeah, and you picked the perfect podcast to do it because we're coming off a rough weekend. We took an L to the Rockets, and in the process, KD talked a bunch of trash. And of course, we went up against a really hot quarterback, and we'll dive into that loss. But you picked a perfect time to come on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, chicken noodle soup for the soul looks different for everyone. There's those that, relish in others' anguish, like our nephew Benjamin here. But, we don't hold it against him because we know at the core essence, he really is more of a Jazz fan than a Seahawks fan. And we know how he really feels right now.
The one thing we can say though is the man is consistent. If you were not a hater every day when we've met you and talked about sports for your entire life, your entire career, we'd feel different. But we know exactly what to expect because you're a consistent man. So I appreciate that.
Hey, consistency is really the way to go, Ben. So, you gotta stay strong over there.
The hate for the Broncos and Nuggets runs deep. Anytime I get on the train to DIA, and I hear like, "Oh, this is Garrett Bowles from your Denver Broncos," like there's just an internal rage that fills me up.
And really that's the way it's meant to be because instead of you, wanting to like cheer along with us, you always wanted to just poke at our pain. So it just comes with the territory. All right, so
We are
VMAC.
making it hard on him, though. We are making it hard on you this season to do that with both of our teams. So you're going to have to nitpick here to come at us. Which I know you got ways. I know you got your plans, but it is more difficult this season than in years past.
You know it's bad when Ben probably has to resort to picking on the Rockies. But that being said, I know you've got your point. So tell me, Ben, I know you've got something that's been itching at you, and I know it's regarding my boy. Tell me what you got to say about Bo.
Bo Nix is the reason that you guys aren't real championship contenders this year. I know you guys are number one in the AFC, right? But if you look at it, I think you've had like 12 one-score games. You've won 10 of them. So props to you guys for winning the close games. But when it comes down to it, you just cannot trust Bo Nix. It's the same way that Russell Wilson would choke. You Broncos fans should know. He's gonna do some stupid stuff and just ruin a playoff run that this defense has gifted you. Your guys' defense has been playing great, and I just don't think your offense is going to be able to hang with playoff defenses.
I mean, it's a very valid point. They have had their ups and downs, more downs than ups, I'll say. It's kind of hard to say that a quarterback who is on record-breaking pace through his first 2 years is the reason why when he's put us in this position to succeed. I've been through the downs, it nicked me a little bit, but I've been through the downs, as much as the ups, and any other quarterback that we've had during the last decade would not put us in this position. So you got to take the lumps with the positive as well, or probably vice versa. But what are your thoughts on that, VMAC?
Yeah, first off, I just like the fact that you mentioned Broncos and Super Bowl in the same sentence. It wasn't like
Heyo.
it wasn't a joke. It was an actual serious take that, hey, this team has Super Bowl expectations, which is a good thing. This is actually where Denver and the Mile High City want to be. This is the expectations they've set of this franchise, and anything less, is not acceptable. So if you're looking at it through that specific lens, like, hey, in order for us to make it to and win a Super Bowl, Bo Nix has to play not only at the level he's brought this season, but even above, it's really hard to disagree or argue with that take. It's very rare that defense wins Super Bowls, right? Like you have a handful. Obviously, we have when the Seahawks absolutely dismantled us. We have when we beat Carolina. I'm not, and I'm probably missing. I don't want to go too far back, like Ravens and Giants, and like I'm not going to go too far back. But in recent memory, past 10-ish years, you have way more examples of top flight offenses with solid defenses than you do elite defenses that win you a Super Bowl. So hard to disagree there, and I'm sure we'll dive into the game here soon. But again, championship expectations. I do like to hear that.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, like from where we were just 2 years ago, like the fact that we're even playing winning football, I'm counting my blessings, man. I told my brother the other day when we were watching not this game but the previous one. I was like, you know what? For once, like I'm like not stressed about the play calling and stuff like that because Sean Payton, as much as he frustrates me in that cute play in the last game, Vinny, I think was the dang turnaround, that dang triple option, or no, I think it was like a reverse option back to Bo Nix for the kind of like a flea flicker, but not really. Pissed me off because you're doing it like if you're up by 14, okay, go ahead and have some fun. But let's try to win the game first. And I to me it was a turning point. I'm sure it wasn't, but to me it was.
I personally like the play. I think Cortland Sutton should have just held on to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and I will say, as much as you said about Bo, he did overthrow that or underthrow that ball. So he's either overthrowing or underthrowing. He can't find that Goldilocks zone.
Yeah, it's obviously this last game was tough to watch, um, and it shows you that if you lapse for one quarter against a playoff team, like Ben mentioned earlier, playoff level defense, offense, whatever you're talking about, it will lose you the game, right? They lost that game in one quarter. Yes, there's other things that happened throughout the game that could have helped. Obviously, trying to get scores in the fourth quarter when the defense actually came up with some stops could have maybe changed the outlook slightly. But you have, just a poor defensive showing in that third quarter. You have a missed quarterback running back exchange that leads to a turnover, leads to points. And then I know there was another interception in the fourth, but really I focused just on that quarter being a catalyst for the loss. And give credit where it's due. Trevor Lawrence is playing like he's back at Clemson. He's on a streak right now. The last, 3 or 4 games, he's throwing the ball well. He's running the ball in for scores. I would say as soon as they picked up Jacoby Myers from the Raiders, that offense has looked completely different. And although Jacoby Myers didn't have really any impact in the game, he had a couple first downs. Just him being on the field opens things up for Thomas. I know Thomas didn't have a big game either, but when you have Jacoby Myers, Thomas, now all of a sudden your slot guy comes into play, which we saw in spades on Sunday. Mr. Washington breaking tackles, blowing coverages. Now all of a sudden we have an elite team in the Jaguars, or at least from a playoff team, I'll say, that is attacking us on every level. So, hey, Riley Moss, Patrick Surtain, you're locking down these wide receivers. All right, let's see if you can cover our tight end and our slot guy. And guess what? We couldn't really cover either effectively or tackle. It's amazing how tackling still at that NFL level is one of the biggest components of defense. But it was still, like I said, tough to watch, but there's some things we can learn from it too. Probably better to lose now than to go in with this massive streak with a big head, but only if they learn from the loss.
Yeah, it's tough, man. As much as I was trying to let Riley have his time to kind of make up for what he's done and things of that nature, I just don't think we can anymore. But that being said, are the guys behind him going to do anything better. You know what I mean? Like, I just think we're in a tough boat right now. And as far as the game goes, I'm kind of on the same page with you in terms of us taking that lump. It could definitely be considered a wake up moment because the last thing you want to do is get to the playoffs and feel like you're invulnerable after that bye week. And I think maybe it was kind of a wake up moment. And out of curiosity, would like to get Ben's perspective from what he's seeing out of the Seahawks right now because they're obviously top of the division over there. What are some concerns you see over there, and is there any parallels you see with the Broncos?
Oh, it's so similar. I'm just now hesitantly believing in the Seahawks team because their defense has really been leading the way. I'd say the offense is kind of just as precarious as your guys's because Sam Darnold had a good year with the Vikings, is having a good year now, but playoffs come and he's going to start seeing ghosts. So it's not a good formula for us. But the thing I will say that I think does make the Seahawks position slightly better than the Broncos is that we've got JSN. You guys really don't have a solid wide receiver one to kind of help out Bo Nix if he gets in a position where he's kind of flustered. We could just throw it to JSN and let him do stuff. Whereas with you guys, if Bo Nix stalls, there's really not much hope for your offense because while RJ Harvey looked good last game, I don't think he's kind of like a catalyst that you guys can lean on for offense. Whereas with the Seahawks, if things start to go south, we can just design some plays to get JSN the ball, and hopefully that works out.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta say, as far as the Seahawks go, man, I can't even believe where they're at right now. I mean, you've heard me in previous years saying how can they still keep winning, and then they chug out another awesome receiver in JSN. So I'll give you some props, even though I don't want to talk about them anymore. But
Hey,
Yeah, I mean,
maybe if the Broncos can make it to the Super Bowl, we'll meet up. Then that'll be a fun episode.
that would be. Yeah, I mean, you get rid of DK and you're expecting not like a drop off, but like, hey, can this kid, you know, do what we expect of him and elevate to that position? And he's blowing that out of the water. He's like DK who? You don't even remember. He's busy punching fans in Detroit while JSN scoring touchdowns against a division rival to, give themselves a shot at a number one seed. And I agree with you. It's something David and I have talked about. Like in the NFL, it's good to spread the ball around, right? The Tom Brady theory of like everybody can score a touchdown. But wow, when the chips are down and you need somebody, whether it's third down, red zone, or you're down 2 touchdowns to have somebody to go to, we were hoping that would be Sutton. Obviously, we signed him in the offseason with some of those expectations, but he's just not. He's not at that level, or even, I don't want to say even close, but he's not at that level. And then the Seahawks, they obviously have Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet. And Walker, we've seen him in past years be a really good running back, and I feel like maybe that's coming back a little bit for him. RJ Harvey, I've said time and time again, he's our Darren Sproles. He's a 3-down back. He can catch the ball. He can run. He can do everything Darren Sproles used to do for Sean Payton. But outside of that, we need to see more production from really everybody. And if that comes in just a better chemistry with Sutton and Bo, or if it's Franklin who develops that chemistry. Ingram has been way below expectations this year. He had, a good catch in the game, but would love to see more from Ingram. But I guess it all goes back to your beginning point, Ben, of like the offense. Just it's not scaring anybody. You can say that for sure. The offense is not. Nobody's cringing at seeing the Broncos' offensive unit.
yeah, I wanted to real quick mirror you on RJ Harvey. That game he had was freaking awesome, man. Like, I mean, it's in a loss, so it's lost effort, but the amount of broken tackles and honestly just grit that I saw from him. It's the first time I've seen it from him at that level where he's just like refuses to go down, and that was really awesome to see from him in that game. And then real quick to backtrack to you mentioning the Seattle Seahawks in first, I do got to disagree because I'm looking at the standings right now, and in the league, the Denver Broncos are still number one. So sorry, Ben. Like, I'm going to put my arm up on your head because we're still there. No, I was just kidding.
Yeah, we'll see.
But sorry, guys. The one thing I did want to ask you guys is there any surprise teams this year that you just kind of can't believe are in the position that they're in? I'll read off the standings. So in first we got the Broncos, then we got the Seahawks, and then the Patriots, which is my surprise team, and then the Bears, which is another surprise team. The Jaguars, I say, it's like hit or miss. You got a quarterback that was drafted number 1 overall. You can have a chance of being there. Then we got the Chargers, 49ers, Bills, Rams, Eagles. I guess just overall, who's the biggest surprise to you guys? I'll hit you first, Ben.
I've got kind of 3 surprises, so I'll do it quickly. I think everyone's surprised by the turnaround that the Bears have had. Shout out to Ben Johnson. He's done phenomenal work with that team. Watched them come back, beat the Packers in what looked like just a done game. And my dad's a Packers fan, so watching him crash out about that was pretty funny.
Right.
And then there's 2 other teams where I'm kind of surprised. I thought the Commanders would do much, much better this season. I know Jaden Daniels has been dealing with some injuries, but man, 4-11 is rough. Like, that defense looked good. Their offense seemed okay, especially they added Deebo Samuel. So you would think that even if you have Marcus Mariota coming in for a couple games to fill in, that it's better than 4 wins. And then this is going to be kind of a weird surprise, considering they are 11-4. But man, I thought the Bills looked so good last season that I thought they were going to be much better, which is crazy because they're 11-4. But I still thought they were going to be like 13-3 to end the season, or even better than that, just because I didn't see who was going to stop them. So that would be my 3 surprise teams.
Heck yeah, VMAC, who do you got?
Yeah, nothing too different. Caleb Williams, he's worth that number 1 pick. That whole draft class, I'm curious to see as they all grow and develop, because you named off quite a few teams there, and correct me if I'm wrong here, we have Bo Nix, Drake May, and Caleb Williams all from that exact same draft class, correct?
Yeah.
They're all tops, bringing their teams in their second year towards, top considerations in the league. You could definitely argue that Drake May and Caleb Williams are better passers. I don't think you'd get many that would, get into too much of a debate over, is Bo Nix a better passer than Caleb Williams and Drake May? But you can also say that, Bo Nix maybe doesn't have the exact same weapons as well. Obviously, we'll see kind of what these offenses look like as they get into their 3rd, 4th, and 5th year. Because we all know these rookie quarterback salaries sure does make roster flexibility a lot easier to build a team around these guys that aren't getting paid top dollar yet. So we'll see. I think the window for all 3 of those teams will be within these next 2 to 3 years, and you got to strike while the iron's hot. We'll see which one from this class. And who else is there's some other quarterbacks from that class as well that I'm not naming, but those 3 come to mind. So that's kind of where my head's at. I'm surprised to see these year 2 quarterbacks at this position where they're, talking Super Bowl.
Yeah, Ben had mentioned Jaden Daniels, who obviously is dealing with some health issues. And then there's McCarthy, who's on the Vikings, who's not doing too hot. But that being said, the one thing that Ben said that kind of stuck out to me was a team that wasn't doing well as a surprise team. And I mean, I got to throw my hat in the ring here. The Kansas City Chiefs. God, is it great to see the downfall. And matter of fact, They were so embarrassed after their loss to the Broncos that they agreed to a deal to move their stadium to the Kansas side of Kansas City. That, you know, they can't even stay in Missouri after that loss. I thought that was pretty funny reading that. But
Yeah.
what do you guys think about the Chiefs? I mean, because let's be real, in our NFL fandom, they've been a dynasty, and Ben, for that's probably for basically a third of your NFL fandom, if you get what I mean. What's your guys' take on the downfall? I'll hit you first, Ben.
You know, kind of hate to see it actually, because I think the league it needs a good villain, right? We love to root against the Chiefs, and we look in the playoffs now, and it's like everyone's kind of got like a story that you can get behind them. There's no one that you like are actively rooting against, but you know, always good to see them suffer. Just would have been nice to see them like have a first round exit in the playoffs as well. Um, I think it's the start of an even worse continual decline because Patrick Mahomes tore his ACL. Next season is going to be just as bad. Um, I think I I think they stopped paying off the refs. That's a big deal. And I think the Chiefs are going to be bad for at least 2 to 3 years while they have to rebuild around or like retool around Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, it looks like we lost VMAC for a moment. So I mean, I'm just gonna jump in myself. The the downfall is amazing. Now, that being said, what is the elements of the downfall? Why did it happen? It happened because they've been winning for so dang long that they couldn't afford to keep all their pieces in place. That and they actually never kind of replaced the addition of one or sorry, not Jamar Chase. Man, why can't I remember his name right now? Wide receiver Ben Tyreek Hill.
Talk about Rashi. Oh,
Yeah, they were never able to actually replace Tyreek Hill. They're every wide receiver they've gotten in there since just has not had the impact. And unfortunately, Patrick Mahomes is turning guys into better than what they should be, but not good enough, if you get what I mean. At least that's what I'm seeing when I watch them. I see him hitting people with what should be catches for large gains and them dropping it and then getting into third and long situations where then bad things happen. So I mean, that's kind of my take on why they are as bad as they are right now. Now, what I think they need to do is this next season they need to get rid of Chris Jones. You can't pay 50 million to a guy. Basically, that's it. But
yeah.
we'll see what happens there. But I mean, as far as what you're talking about, like, you know, it's good to see a good villain. I do get it. But as a Bronco fan being in their own division, I love it. So the moment they were eliminated was a great day for me. It will go down in the history. No, I was just kidding. But I mean, I think we hit some good stuff. Maybe I'm gonna real quick, Ben. I'm gonna look at season leaders and stats, see if we can maybe get Vinny back. Let me see if I can text him real quick. So Ben, tell me what you think about Matthew Stafford leading the league in passing yards. Dak Prescott behind him on a kind of iffy Dallas team. Jared Goff with Detroit at third place. Drake May in fourth, and then Sam Darnold rounding it out. What do you think about our new top tier of quarterbacks?
I mean, obviously, hate to see Matthew Stafford up there, divisional opponent, but I get it. If you've got Puka Nacua, who's been hurt, and Devontae Adams, who's also been dealing with some injury stuff throughout the season. But if you have those two for, say, 80% of the season, and you've got a Hall of Fame level quarterback in Matthew Stafford, yeah, the passing numbers are going to be insane. Second being Dak Prescott. That's just because the Cowboys, man, they're always going to have a good offense because they're just going to throw the ball every down, even when they're losing by 20 or 30 points. I mean, that's what you should do when you're losing, but they just refuse to, like, run the ball. Sucks because Javonte Williams is on my fantasy team. He got me 5 points in the first round of the playoffs. Now I'm gone.
The bitterness.
And then it was Jared Goff. Yeah, that makes sense. Lions love to throw the ball. They've got a solid receiving core there. He was always a good quarterback even before he got traded to the Lions, but I think leaving LA where there was those sky high expectations during that time was really good for his career. Drake May, shocking that he's been this good, but if you watched him play last year, especially toward the end of the year, he looked really good. So I was expecting him to play well, just not that well. And then Sam Darnold, yeah, he's got JSN, so it makes sense.
Yeah, the really just the format, or sorry, not the format, but the kind of the landscape of the elite quarterbacks right now. It kind of shows you how cruddy the league is in terms of quarterbacks right now, in my opinion. Because I mean, these guys. I mean, let's be real. If this was the quarterbacks that were here 3 to 5 years ago, these guys would be middle pack guys. What do you think, Vinny?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of talk about how complex defenses are and blitz schemes and packages, and oh, the game has fundamentally shifted so much that a guy like Philip Rivers can't come in at 45 and throw how many touchdowns tonight? I knew he got at least two in the first half.
Right.
To me, it's just a sign of how soft the game is now. I know I'm old and I'll sound like a get off my lawn type guy, but part of the reason a lot of these guys retired late in age is because you were getting absolutely destroyed. You were getting blasted in the head, in the knees. Any type of hit was legal. Like, could you imagine being 45, like in 2005 playing football, like concussions galore, like you wouldn't medically be able to continue. Now it's like the hits have to be super clean. If they're not super clean, you get an extra 15 yards. Kickoffs, you're pretty much guaranteed to start on the 30 or 35-yard line. Like, it's all tailored towards the offense. So, not surprised that these system type quarterbacks are producing large numbers. And also, I don't think defenses are as concerned as they once were with yards. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, you gave up 400 yards, but 21 points. That's like a win. Like, oh, you gave up 450 yards, but 21 points. That's a win. So I think it's a weird combination of all of the above. You have these colleges that are producing system-based quarterbacks like a Jared Goff type. And then they also have some really good weapons too. Like, look at the weapons the Lions have. Look at JSN for Darnold. Look at what Dak Prescott has. Those are some serious weapons for each of those teams. So it's kind of a weird balance.
Yeah, and to kind of move to just other areas of offense, we got the rushing. We got James Cook at 1,500 yards, Jonathan Taylor at 1,400, A-Chain 1,260, Henry 1,250, Bijan Robinson 1,250. I mean, they are pretty dang high numbers. Like, if I'm being realistic, like, I don't think I recall that many people being that. So, for example, two guys being 1,500, three at 1,250. I think those numbers are pretty decent. What do you guys think there?
Yeah, I think uh, it's just a result of the fact that, like Vinny said, defenses are more concerned with giving up points than yardage. So they'll be like, okay, if it's 3rd and 12, you might let a run go for 8 yards, but you didn't give up the first, so it doesn't matter. Um, I would say that it's surprising that Saquon's not on that list, given how dominant he was last season. But then again, the Eagles' offense has been uh, pretty inconsistent this season, in large part due to the quarterback play of Jalen Hurts, um, which you would think would lead the offensive coordinator to just lean on Saquon, but apparently not.
Yeah, so Saquon's just over a grand. Um, Most interesting note I saw when pulling up the kind of rushing totals of everybody, five of the top six guys average over 5 yards a carry, with A-Chain at 5.8. Now keep in mind there's 3 games left, and almost everybody in the top 8, except for 2 players, so 6 of the top 8 have over 10 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor leading the league with 16. So, I mean, it's kind of an impressive year for a running back. Definitely interesting to see. And just moving along to wide receiver, the top two people just so happen to be on my fantasy team. I'm going to put that out there just so you guys know. Jackson Smith and Jigba at 1630, Puka Nakua at 1600, and then it drops down to George Pickens at 1340, which I'd say drop. That's pretty dang impressive. Jamar Chase at 1250, Amon St. Brown at 11, or basically 1200. That's, I mean, still pretty dang good numbers, especially given the fact that there's 2 to 3 games left, depending on what player we're talking about. I guess it's 2. But and then like as far as receiving goes, Cortland Sutton comes in at 12th place with 972 yards. So as much as I hate on him not being a number one, he's proven to be a number one, especially in the last couple games.
The interesting trend here is how young these guys are. And I'd argue that kind of gives the formula for the Broncos in their way going forward, because you guys aren't going to have a high draft pick this year. So you're not going to be able to, not that I think you need to replace Bo Nix, but that's not even really on the table. Like, you're not going to get someone better than Bo Nix with like the 28th pick. I think he's a pretty solid QB. He's probably slightly below average starting QB in my opinion. So I would say just throw your picks at wide receivers, because each year these wide receiver draft classes keep getting better and better. And you'll see that.
I can't do it.
No?
We spent too many first round picks on first and seconds on wide receivers. I'd rather build the team. Yeah, I just can't. What do you think, Vinny?
You're just gonna blow past the fact that he's so much of an unbeliever that he said a back half of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm
used to the backhand. I at this point, you got to understand. I live in the same house with them. Like, it's just it just comes and goes, and the backhands never stop. They beat
in one ear out the other.
But
yeah, they're not drafting a quarterback probably in the next 5, because what they'll do at minimum, what you have with Bo, is they're going to play him through his rookie contract
and an extension,
in which they'll be able to build a strong team around him, because we're not contributing much salary towards the quarterback position. Then when you sign him to that big deal, you're going to play him through at least 75% of that deal. So they're not looking at a quarterback probably within the next 7, maybe 10 years.
But he was saying to go wide receiver.
Yeah, no, I'm just he talked about drafting quarterbacks a little bit there for a second. So I'm just kind of setting the stage there. Beyond that, I agree in the sense that, to me, wide receivers starting to become maybe not to the exact extent, but pretty close to the way running backs used to be, where it's like, you can get one in any round now. Like, you can get somebody that can come in and produce. And obviously we drafted Pat Bryant with that expectation that he would come in and produce. Obviously Bo threw him a 911 emergency hospital ball.
That was rough.
On Sunday, which hopefully learned from that. I am kind of disappointed nobody went and fought that player from the Jags, because you lay out a dude like that.
I didn't feel like it was dirty though.
Yeah, it was still like I said, it was a hospital ball, but still, you're at home.
Honestly, didn't even look as bad as PJ Locke's sack on Trevor Lawrence when nobody heard the whistle. Dude, he
right in the lower back.
In his back. That was brutal.
So they're in a position now where you can just draft, not of need, but best player available. That's what the position they're in right now is, rather than saying, oh man, we need to fill this hole on this team. They've built it in the sense where whatever the best position available is, and we saw it actually in this draft when we drafted Jahdae Barron. Do you think we necessarily needed him at that spot? No, but he had the most potential. He was the best player available at that time, and they went with it. So I think the Seahawks are in a very similar position as well, where they don't need to just reach for a player. They're probably going to sit back towards later rounds and get just whoever the best one on the board is.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Baron one's hurting because it'd be really nice to slot him in there if we thought he was ready. But moving along to, I think I'm just going to hit sacks on the other side. Myles Garrett at 22 with 2 games left. I think he's going to break the freaking record. What is it, 24? I can't remember. I'd have to look at it.
It's 22 and a half.
Oh, so yeah, there's a good chance he's going to get it. But real
so
quick,
I think it's TJ Watt.
Oh, okay. So it's not Ware anymore.
It's Strahan and TJ Watt tied at 22 and a half.
Okay. Real quick, I just wanted to note on sacks. So we got Nick Bonito at 5th at 12 and a half sacks. He's been stuck there. He plateaued. And then Jonathan Cooper at 18th, who also plateaued at 8. But then down at 20th, we got John Franklin Myers, who they refused to give a new contract. I'm still upset about that. When you've got defensive linemen that can get above 5 sacks, you lock the guy down. Real quick, Vinny, what are your thoughts on the JFM and then our pass rush in total? And then if you want, maybe sprinkle on a little Myles Garrett.
Yeah, so Myles Garrett, if he does not break the record this next week, in my personal record book, it won't count because Strahan.
I do agree with that.
So if he doesn't break it this next week, then in my record book, it doesn't count.
He'll probably get 5.
Right. So that just on his note, obviously the Broncos will not touch the Bears record. Teams just throw the ball too quick. That's really what that comes down to. And then I started the year predicting that we needed Bonito to get around like 15, 16, 17 sacks to be the type of player that you have to game plan for. I don't think he is that guy yet. We'll see maybe as the season unfolds. He said he wanted to come out and play better. At this point in time, really the main thing teams are accounting for is just the speed off the edge, not like their ability to beat you on the inside, to bull rush you, to all the different things that I'm not saying he should be on the level of Myles Garrett, but to be an elite pass rusher, it just seems like a little bit of a one-trick pony for our edge rushers, which is still darn effective, right? Doesn't hurt that you have PS2 on the back end helping you out a little bit. Yeah. So in terms of Franklin Myers, yeah, he's definitely had some timely sacks. To what degree is it these other speed rushers off the edge opening things up for you? Double teams to his partner in crime, opening things up for him. That's the piece where obviously, it'd be hard to understand his exact impact if you took some of those players out of the equation. But I get where you're at. That's a lot of sacks for an interior lineman.
Well, and plus there's plenty of guys you can put in that same position who won't get it. You know what I mean? So you still need to be able to actually collapse the pocket in order to get a sack if they're pushing it up in. So at least that's where I come from on it. And then as far as, it's funny because the Broncos in general have been kind of game planned out of what they do. The Raiders actually built the blueprint that the last 2 teams we faced have followed, which is get rid of the ball in 2 seconds. Pretty dang effective against us because a lot of times the dang players are open within that amount of time. It takes us a little bit of time to react to actually lock them down. And then also the loss of Brandon Jones, I don't know how much that affected the kind of deficiency we saw from Riley Moss. Now, that being said, I don't know if it's direct correlation. I didn't look that closely, but something tells me that they rolled that safety his way a lot, given the nature of our defense. So definitely interesting stuff, at least in my opinion. So tell me, Ben, are you ready to talk NBA?
I'm always ready to talk NBA.
So tell me, what's your take on the Nuggets this season as a Jazz fan?
As a Jazz fan, I think that Nuggets are obviously a phenomenal team this year. You guys are going to be probably a top 3 seed in the West. Oh, you're getting a little too excited.
You already said phenomenal. I'm good.
The issue is that you're going up against probably a top 10 team all time in terms of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
So hold on. You're saying that the Nuggets are 4.5 games back of a top 10 team all time while losing 3 critical players throughout most of the season? Is that what I just heard you say?
I mean, 4.5 games back in the first quarter of the season or third of the season. So it'll be 12 by the end of it. You got to remember to extrapolate out, David.
Hey, we're getting those starters back, though.
I'm just saying, you guys, when it comes down to it, I don't think you're going to be able to beat the Thunder in a 7-game series. I don't even think it'll go to 7. I think you guys would be lucky to stretch it to 5. And that's just what I think from what I've seen. The Thunder are just insane this year. Last year, I didn't believe in them. And then they had a really, really tough playoff rush. And then for some reason, they came out of that last season and just decided that they were not messing around. And I'm pretty sure we still haven't seen them with all 5 of their starters playing the same game. So that is terrifying. They might have played recently. I remember it was last time I saw that stat, it was they were 24-2 or something like that. So it was the first 20 games or so they hadn't played all of their starters together. I'm not sure if that's changed, but that's just a terrifying outlook to see.
Yeah, I must say, as good as they look, I do think that the Nuggets are better this year than last year, and they're proving it by winning without even having their starters. And, you could say that the OKC Thunder kind of steamrolled the playoffs or whatever, but they really didn't. They barely beat the Nuggets. Barely. They were down 20 and ended up winning. I don't see that they are so far and away above us as you do. And that I understand why you do see that, because they have a varsity level team, 3, with the entire bench involved. And then, so basically any mid-level team can't compete with them because they're running starters out off of their bench. But I just don't think it's going to, I think our team's pretty dang good this year, and I think we're going to at least give them a push. What are your thoughts, VMAC?
Yeah, we've talked about this at length. It definitely does not help that we have 2.5 starters because Gordon and Brown has missed some time, and then as of late, Peyton Watson's missed a few games, not too many. It's hard to see what this team's potential is when we don't have those players in the lineup. I mentioned as we started the show, Katie was, talking a bunch of trash to Tim Hardaway and Bruce Brown, which, by the way, Katie, when we're fully healthy, those are our bench players. So why don't you talk trash to Murray or Jokic or somebody somewhat close to your level instead of talking trash to little guards on our bench? Katie, you're 7 foot, bro. But this is probably also why you have burner accounts, because you just have to talk trash to Bruce Brown and Hardaway of all the players. But anyways, this might be a little bit of my bitterness towards the Rockets coming out. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Whoever wins the West is your de facto champion. I don't see anybody from the East beating any team that comes out of that gauntlet of a West. And I've heard some people talk about, there's only going to be so many 60-win teams in the Western Conference. Well, yeah, they all got to play each other. And they're all extremely good teams. Pick your poison. Do you want to see, when healthy, the best two-way player on the planet, which is Wemby? Do you want to see Luka and LeBron? Do you want to see what LKC Ben said is a top 10 team all time with only 1 ring? I'll just leave that there. Do you want to see Jokic, probably the best offensive player or offensive playmaker, if you don't want to say scorer, in the world? Or, hey, throw an Ant who can close you out in any game that he desires to, much like he did to OKC this past weekend. Locked up SGA twice, blocked his shot, stole the ball, hit the game-winning 3. I mean, which one of those do you want? Oh, by the way, consolation prize. If you don't want any of them, you can watch Steph Curry drop 50 on you and potentially beat you in a series. So, I mean, the West is loaded. I don't know how we're going to make it out of it. I hope we do. But my plan would be to try and avoid seeing LA and OKC in the same playoffs. You don't want to play LA in round 1, OKC in round 2. I would hope that LA plays OKC before we see them, and we only have to beat one of those two teams. But that's just kind of where I stand. And I didn't even talk about the Rockets. Another number 2 seed last year who picks up KD this year. I mean, just a loaded West.
Yeah. And really, in general, it's an uphill battle. As much as I say, OKC, who knows if OKC makes it to a certain point? Like you said, like it is a loaded freaking conference. That being said, they probably will, but real quick, Ben, since the your Utah Jazz squared off with the Denver Nuggets tonight. 135-112, by the way. I mean, sorry, I just had to
100% fine with that. The Jazz have won too many games already this season.
Out of all the players on the court, one player had 2 steals, 3 blocks. Who do you think that was?
Well, given the nature of how you are as a person, I'm going to guess it's Jokic.
Hey, yo! Fucking 29 minutes, dude. The man he just dominates. He's just such a defensive prowess. 14 points, 13 rebounds, 13 assists on 5 of 7.
Well, shooting. he's got a little bro Nurkic, right? Like that's the Jazz starting center.
Right.
Dude, old ass.
He always does too. Nurkic once upon a time gave him issues, but then there was just like this plateau that Nurkic hit, and then Jokic just kept running. Mm-hmm. But we to parallel our talks with the NFL earlier, we kind of went through the rankings. I'm going to throw out a surprise team for me, and then you guys could throw out a surprise team. Mine's going to come from the Eastern Conference. The Detroit Pistons are sitting at the top at 22-6. I did not see this one coming. Now, granted, the Celtics have, missing their best player. New York's just nipping at their heels at 20-8. The 76ers, Embiid being a shell of his former self, I'd love to see that much. Although it looks like he's finally upticking his results. But then other than that doesn't really matter. And then just to touch on it, Western Conference, as Vinny talked about, we got OKC Thunder at number 1, 26-3, followed by the Spurs at 21-7. They're a little bit of a surprise team in terms of just being as dominant as they have been. The Denver Nuggets at 21-7, then the Los Angeles Lakers at 19-8, Minnesota Timberwolves at 19-10, the Houston Rockets at 17-9, Phoenix Suns, which are a little bit of a surprise team, at 15-13, the Warriors 14-15, Grizzlies 13-16, Trailblazers 12-16 to round it out. Ben, I'm going to come your way. What's your surprise team? What are some just kind of takeaways from the year so far now that we're about 30 games into it?
I think if you know me, you're going to be able to guess who my surprise team is. It's not in a good way. Every year I fall for it. Every year the Clippers get me believing that they're going to do something, and then something always happens, whether it's Kawhi getting injured planting trees or just them absolutely falling apart. I know that there's been some injuries to the Clippers, but 7-21, that's pathetic, especially when the Jazz are 10-18. Like, I'm pretty sure the Jazz are actively trying to lose games. And so the Clippers being worse than that is pretty sad, especially because they still have a healthy Harden, and Harden's been trying as hard as he can, but man, no one else is trying to give him any sort of help. And I would just think that at a certain point, they'd be better than 7-21. Another team that was...
Don't the Thunder have the Clippers first round pick?
The Thunder have the Clippers first round pick, and they have the Jazz's first round pick if it's outside, I think, the top 5. So the Thunder are only going to get better.
Why do you guys
gotta disgusting.
Help them out? Both the teams you like.
Right? So really, the thing about it, though, is the Jazz have a protected pick, so if they tank hard enough, it'll be fine. The Clippers, I'm pretty sure, is unprotected. So just goes to show, trade Paul George and good things happen. But I would say another surprise team that I have is, obviously there's some weird stuff going on with Giannis and him demanding a trade and being injured right now. But man, if you told me that the Bucks would be out of the playoffs at the start, or like out of the play-in at the start of the season, I would have been like, "What? You're crazy." I would have thought that Giannis would be enough, but then when Giannis decides he's done playing for the Bucks, it makes sense that they're bad. But I just never thought I'd see Giannis potentially being traded.
Yeah. And real quick, because you were talking about the Clippers, Chris Paul has still not signed for a team. I'm kind of amazed. Is he just going to quietly go out?
It's like 50 years old.
Yeah, it's time. So this reminds me of look at Russell Westbrook this year. He's having a really good year for the Kings, but he just wants to play basketball and score points and get rebounds and steals. Chris Paul doesn't want to do that. Chris Paul wants to win. He wants to win. Westbrook just wants to play basketball. So he's okay with signing for the Kings. CP3 is not okay going to play for Brooklyn. If CP3 wanted to play, he could play, but he doesn't want to go do that. He wants to win.
That's why you should go to the Nuggets.
He would be a viable backup point guard, but again, does he want to do that?
Yeah.
Does he want to play in very limited minutes, especially come playoff time? We're talking very limited minutes. I don't know that he wants to do that. So I don't think it's him. I don't think it's the teams that want to sign him. I think it's, him making this call of maybe he's waiting for somebody to get injured because there's still plenty of time in this season. There could be a key injury, and a team could want to pick him up. I know the Rockets. I know they're getting some good point guard play. I forget the kid's name. He's playing well, but maybe a guy like CP3 bring in to help for that late playoff push. I mean, if you ask me, who would this is a good one. What's a better two-man game right now, Şengün and KD or Jokic and Murray?
I'm not going to pretend like I've seen Şengün and KD. I'm sure they run it pretty well.
It's a tough call. So we'll see what CP3 does. He might, like I said, he might just be waiting it out, but it's his call. He can go play for a bunch of crappy teams, but he's not going to.
I mean, let's be real. The dude could go turn pro in bowling. Literally, he's that good of a bowler. And I'm pretty sure he's a pretty good golfer as well. So he could go have fun and just move on to the next phase of his life, and no one would blame him one bit. He'd still go into the Hall of Fame. So as much as I'd like to, see him on a contributor, because I still think that he could make an impact, it's up to him on that. So who was your surprise team, VMAC?
I don't know that I have a surprise team because, again, I don't really care about the East. I don't think they're going to produce a champion. But I will, since I have been on record, I will bring up our boy, who we've had many debates about on how he would look on a crappy team. It's playing on par with. I was curious, so I pulled it up a minute ago.
Ben still doesn't believe in that, by the way.
So Lauri Markkanen.
I believe in a crappy team bonus, just not the way that you guys think about it.
So Lauri Markkanen, when he went to the Jazz from Cleveland, he was 25 and a half a game, 8 rebounds and 2 assists. MPJ so far, obviously a lot of season to be played, 25 and a half, 7.5 rebounds and 3 assists. And we just kept debating on who's better, Lauri or MPJ. And we just kept saying dude, MPJ he's not getting the ball enough. And we'll see what the season holds. He might be an all-star this year. We'll see if he actually gets the nod though, but they are a crappy team. They're losing, but he's playing well.
Yeah. Do you got any rebuttal on that, Ben?
I mean, even if you want to say, I still disagree that MPJ is the better player than Lauri Markkanen, but if you want to say that, that's fine. But if you look at MPJ's contract and how that hemmed in your guys' defensive, or not defensive, but the amount of players you could sign around MPJ, Murray, and Jokic, that was the larger part of the argument, is that MPJ was wildly overpaid. You act like MPJ contributed to that thing.
Hey,
that was all.
A ring is a ring, bud. It's part of the
that
journey.
was all Jokic and Murray.
There's plenty of games that he had turned on and won for us. A ring is a ring. How many rings does Laurie have? Laurie's a better defender, but his contract is way worse. He is due to make $50 million next year. You kind of discounted that. His contract is way worse.
Well, this for all our YouTube fans.
He's not getting paid $50 million
next year. Yeah.
For all our YouTube fans, all two of you watching, this is us just getting the group text out there for the public to see. So
that is a fact.
In any case, again, I wish MPJ the best. He might get an All-Star nod this year. He's getting the ball more.
Oh, you're talking about when his extension kicks in.
Sorry, Ben, it's $46 million. My bad. It caps out at $53 million.
Dude, you missed $4 million. What do you think?
Goodness, I can't believe myself. But on a real note, let's get back to the stats of the NBA, because this is pretty interesting. So offensive leaders, we got in points, we got Luka Doncic with 34.1. That's pretty high. As far as scoring averages go, that's pretty dang high. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander second at 32.5. Tyrese Maxey at 31.7. Donovan Mitchell at 30.7. And Ben's one and only Nikola Jokic at 29.4. So that rounds out the top 5. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the next one. Assists. Leading the NBA. Who is it, Ben?
Nikola Jokic.
Yup, at 10.7. Next closest is Cade Cunningham at 9.2. Josh Giddey at 8.9. Josh Giddey's having a year. Luka Doncic at 8.8. James Harden at 8.2. Go ahead and throw the 3-pointers made in there, because why not? There's another name we're familiar with in there. Stephen Curry at 4.9. Donovan Mitchell at 4.0. Tyrese Maxey at 3.8. Sam Merrill at 3.7. I don't even know that guy. And then rounding out, tied for 4th, is Michael Porter Jr. at 3.7. No surprise that he's jacking it up over there. All right, Ben, who is leading the NBA in rebounds per game?
Let me guess. Does he play for the Denver Nuggets?
Ding, ding, ding. We got Nikola Jokic at 12.1. Karl Anthony Towns at 11.6. Ivica Zubac at 11.1, Jalen Duran at 11, and then Rudy Gobert at 10.9. Blocks, somehow Jay Huff is leading the league at 2.5. Another backup that Michael Malone would not play, who's being successful now. The other one is, kind of anchoring Oklahoma City now in Hartenstein. Man, there's so many backups that he just wouldn't play that are doing well. But I mean, really, the blocks tail off after that. You got Isaiah Stewart at 1.9. Someone named Ryan Kalkbrenner from Charlotte at 1.8. Do either of you know that guy?
He's a young guy.
I didn't know Charlotte.
I think he's a rookie.
Yeah, any of the young guys I am not too familiar with. Scotty Barnes at 1.7. Evan Mobley at 1.6. Steals. I mean, Ben, you and I know these guys just from playing some NBA 2K. We got Kassan Wallace at 2.4, leading the league. Dyson Daniels, my boy, at 2.0. Oh, that's Vinny's boy in Atlanta. I didn't realize that. And then Jalen Suggs at 1.9. Mikal Bridges at 1.7. Herb Jones at 1.7. So I know I went through those ones a little quick, but I just wanted to kind of get them out there.
If Luka does not win MVP this year, he'll not, I don't know how he'll ever win it. He's absolutely killing it. Look at his rebounds. Look at his assists. I know SGA is, gets the, you got to beat, the former MVP to prevent him from winning too. Well, then play him in the fourth quarter and let him score 35 a game, because right now Luka's stats are just through the roof good.
The one thing I'm curious about with Luka, he's averaging 34.1. But I'm just curious. So he's only averaging 32% from 3 pretty much a career low, other than his second year in the league. I wonder if that's just because his volume is 10.6 threes per game, but that's pretty low. They're probably just letting.
Yeah, he's got the JJ Redick, just jack it up, and I'm going to go on a rant again about this darn zone that's all over the NBA. Scoring has never been higher. I've never seen scoring this high, and defense has never been this bad. Is it a coincidence that there's so many teams running zone right now and the scoring is through the roof? I think not. To me, it's just like a way for them to preserve players and play lazy defense, which seems like the entire league is okay with, but the entire league is everybody's scoring 120 a night now. So it is what it is, I guess.
Who would have known that the All-Star games were the template for the future?
Pretty much.
So Ben, what are your you got any lingering takes for the NBA, whether it comes down to, like for example, Luka's bids at MVP, or just really anything you'd like to get off your chest?
I got two things that I want to bring up. First of all, gotta shout out my boy Luka. I thought he should have won MVP. I think it was like 2 years ago. It was the year that he ended up bringing the Mavericks to the finals, but they gave it to Jokic. So,
Ben's favorite player.
What can you do about that?
Hey, real quick, just so everybody knows, Ben did lose a bet at one point in time where he had to acknowledge Nikola Jokic as the best center. So I just wanted to put that out.
I did. But luckily, Luka doesn't play center.
That's a fact.
The other thing that I want to say, other than I hope that Luka gets the MVP this season, because I think you could give it to. There's really only three people you could give it to. It's Jokic, Luka, and SGA. I'd rather them give it to Jokic than SGA. I fucking can't stand SGA. His foul baiting ways piss me off to no end. Like, I can recognize that the Thunder are just playing phenomenal basketball right now, but I cannot stand SGA. Like, at least Jokic kind of earns his stuff a little bit. I think he has a scheme that is perfectly designed around him and tailored to get him as many stats as possible. That's kind of why I discount some of his contributions when it comes to the MVP race, because, yeah, if you touch the ball, 30 times more per game than like MVP Westbrook did when he had no one else on his team, if you don't put up crazy video game like stats, then you're kind of a disappointment. Whereas SGA is just flopping all over and getting 13 free throw attempts a game or something crazy like that. And then the other take that I have that I want to ask you guys about, we talked about Giannis earlier for very little and how he might be on the move. What team would you want to see him go to if he gets moved this season?
Just not the Spurs, please, God, no.
Right.
I couldn't even imagine those two on the same team. Like, how would you even play offense against them other than just shooting threes?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Vinny?
If he's smart, he'll go to the East.
Yes.
Because LeBron, LeBron learned not to come out to the West. He went to what, like 11 straight finals in the East, something like that. And I think he went to the bubble final, but has he been to any other finals in the West since he's come out West? So if Giannis is smart, he'll stay away from the West, because there's no guarantee you'll even get to the finals, even if you're on a team in the West, based off everything we just talked about. To me, the clear play, which would help the NBA, I think would help him, would be somehow, some way, a package with Cat from New York. Ship Cat again. Let Giannis and Jalen Brunson try and figure it out. I think those two, shouldn't be too much of a problem with Jalen, clogging up the lane for Giannis. And obviously Giannis, just two-way ability, should help make Brunson's life a little easier versus probably what Cat offers. To me, that's the only move that makes sense. And again, like I said, it helps the NBA too, because the NBA would love a New York versus LeBron final. The Cup champion New York Knicks versus LeBron in his last year. Could you imagine the ratings from that? But obviously, true NBA fans don't want to see that.
There's no way LeBron's last year is this year. He's gonna wait for his other kid. So
Right.
here's my theory. They're gonna trade, like, let's say Darius Garland to the Lakers to get LeBron back, LeBron and Bronny, and they're gonna go back to Cleveland. They're gonna get Bryce over there, and it's gonna be, or what's is that the youngest's name, Bryce?
Yeah.
And that's gonna be, they're gonna just tout the James family there. I can already see it, man. I just think it's going that way. But real quick, I did want to touch on something you said, Ben, about the OKC Thunder. And I did hear, I can't remember the analysis, so sorry, I'm not going to give you credit. But he was just basically saying that the NBA, this version of the NBA is pretty much unwatchable, where the Oklahoma City Thunder on one side of the court can just sit there and just rob people, just hitting them, doing whatever they want to get the ball between Alex Caruso and all their guards and forwards. Like, they just literally mug people. And then on the other end, you can't breathe on SGA. So I understand completely why their record is what their record is, because they literally, because of the way the league has enabled them, the team is broken. Like, if you're not going to call fouls on them, but then call everything on the other side, what can any team do against that? So definitely feel your sentiment on that.
I want to throw out, I think, the trade destination for Giannis that Vinny missed. Uh, I think it's obvious in my opinion, but I think if the Warriors can unload Kuminga and maybe a couple picks or something like that, seeing Giannis and Steph team up with Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green, just make the West basically the NBA is going to turn the Western Conference playoffs into the actual like NBA finals. It's just gonna be the Western Conference Finals is the finals, and then there's gonna be like a victory lap where they just
Right.
slaughter whatever team is in the East.
So the only reason why I didn't say anything about it is because it's been a rumor for what, 5-6 years. It definitely could
so
happen.
fun to watch.
I tell you what, because there is going to be a blockbuster trade this year. Who knows who it is? Who knows what teams? I really do hope it's someone from the West going to the East, just because this dang conference is so rough. And if I had to put my finger on like a few players who I think would be the candidates, I personally think it'd be like Ja Morant going East. I don't think that they'd be willing to get rid of Devin Booker, but maybe like Zion going East. Something along those lines. I mean, it could even be like James Harden going East. I just don't see why anybody. I mean, I see why people would want to trade to the West because they want them out of their conference, but it'd be tough if we get another juggernaut in the West.
Yeah, it's too much. We'll see what the trade deadline bears out. It would be interesting to see him in Golden State. If the Bucks, like, I don't know if you would even do close to entertain that deal, like Kuminga. I mean, especially after all the heat Nico got for letting Luka go. Talk about another squad. What an idiot! He had Jalen Brunson and Luka.
Well, if
the same team.
If they had to get rid of him and they get a package like Brandon Podziemski, Kuminga, and Moses Moody,
with some picks,
I could see him.
Maybe
I could see him taking that, man. 3 players that are above 10 who don't necessarily get the, for example, like the MPJ where you're just a part of a system. You know what I mean? So maybe you could kind of benefit a little bit better outside of that. Kuminga's just he's such an enigma because he's got so much raw potential, but I feel like they kind of had, like, for lack of a better term, like alpha dogged him, where they like made him kind of like a punk. And I don't know how else to describe it. It's like they just kind of put him so far down on the pecking order that they like ruined his potential. But I don't know. That's just the way I see it.
Hmm. He doesn't seem to want to be there, and they don't seem to want to have him there.
Yeah.
So that's never going to be good for anybody's psyche. And meanwhile, they're struggling for a playing game. I don't know their exact ranking, but they're down there.
Yeah, and just another. I mean, just since we're on the NBA, the Hornets rookie Knuppel. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
Colin
Colin
Knuppel.
Knuppel, white boy. He made 100. First to make fastest to make 100 threes. So that's pretty interesting. That being said, I'm sure Seth ankles were injured his rookie year. Otherwise, he'd be on that too.
See, I
Any-
don't think it's
any-
that. I think it's playing in a post Steph Curry era because the 3-pointers attempted, it's just
it's
bananas.
Have you seen
the
the graphics where it's like a ring around it
Yeah.
and then just right at the hoop? Like they don't take any mid range.
Yeah.
So I think back when Curry was younger, he was the only one trying to revolutionize shooting the three. Well, maybe not the only one, but he was definitely leading the charge.
He wasn't
And,
revolutionizing. He just loved to shoot threes. Come on, bro. He's not like, man, I really
That
need
deep.
to change the NBA. No, he's like, give me that shit. Green light.
But even then, he still wasn't shooting threes to the volume that people are nowadays, just
Mhm.
because it wasn't something that now it's a central part of everyone's game plan. If you looked at, like, I think it was the Celtics last year, were shooting like 53s a game
it's
or something
crazy.
like that. So of course these younger guys that are, decent 3-point shooters, but just getting, instead of maybe like 3 attempts a game, 4 attempts a game, like rookie or like Curry might have had as a rookie, they're shooting 8 to 9 times a game. Yeah, of course they're going to be the fastest to 100 threes.
Yeah, and like Vinny said, with how deep Curry was shooting, he probably was the first to do that. Well, not like first, but I'd say first to consistently do that. Like, because we saw like J.R. Smith jacking it up from the logo, but it wasn't like when he came across the court, you're like, crud, I need to guard him like now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Probably helps.
Go ahead, V.
I won't bring it up on this podcast again, but it probably helps Colin Knuppel to be facing 2-3 zone and getting wide open from 3. I don't understand it. Like, no wonder. Like, how many open looks do you think people are getting now against a 2-3 zone? It's ridiculous.
Maybe it was a 3-2 zone, Vinny. No, it was a 1-3-1.
I know. We'll see. I guess that'll be next. 1-3-1. We'll see it, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, VMAC, other than zone defenses, do you have anything else to get off your chest on NBA?
I'm excited for our starters to come back. We've been tested in different ways and been able to see some players step up, which we probably would not have been able to see without the injuries. I want to see, as we get into the new year, we get, I believe, 4 games against OKC before playoffs hit. So I really want to see in those 4 games what I hope we have our starters healthy, what we look like against them, and hopefully we can contribute to them not beating the Warriors record, regular season wins.
Right.
What do they have, 3 or 4 losses now?
They got 3. It's Spurs, Portland, and then recently Minnesota.
So I think they have to, some between now and then have 6 losses. So if we can give them 3 of those 6, that would be awesome. But I know that, and I know that might be asking for much, or maybe it's not. Who knows? We'll see what it looks like when we play them.
Yeah. I mean, Ben, as much crud as I gave you, they definitely are trending towards being one of the better teams in history. But I get my take was more or less just like that. I don't think that they are a light year above the Nuggets, but as far as regular season goes, they do have a chance to be great, and we just need to chip in and beat them. Who knows? Maybe the Jazz could even help out.
Oh no! I mean, they might want to throw their game against the Jazz. So,
dude, think about it. It's the perfect.
right.
It's the perfect game for the Jazz to get up, though. They're like, yeah, I mean, we're only going to end up with like 20 wins this season. Maybe one of them can be against the Thunder.
And I mean, last time the Jazz played the Thunder, our coach went viral for telling our team that we're not playing hard enough, which, like, yeah, if you're losing by 30, will do that to you.
Right? Yeah.
Thunder
And they're
plays
resting their
Spurs
starters in the fourth
back-to-back.
quarter.
Yeah. And really, when it comes down to it, we just need the Jazz to help us out a little bit more and, step their game ups. But
if you really want them to help you out, it'll be extending your championship window by keeping their pick this year.
right. Yeah.
Before the Thunder get like the 8th overall pick in this loaded draft class.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, yeah, you are right, because they're going to have all those players on the 4-year locks. Cause like what kind of sucks about the Thunder is that their salary cap is about to be destroyed, but it also doesn't suck because it's like they have all the players in place to where they could just keep them all under contract.
Yep.
Eventually they'll lose Hartenstein just because they won't be able to afford him. But they are definitely currently constructed one of the best constructed teams from a financial standpoint ever, which is pretty interesting. At least in the NBA, I should say. I know Moneyball did things a little bit differently, even though the Rockies were like, "Oh, we need to get that guy." Hey, that's twice I talked about the Rockies in one stream. What are we doing? But
No wonder only 2 people are watching.
Hey, and I get it. I'm sorry, you two. And worth mentioning, the Colorado Avalanche, man. I don't know if you've seen, Vinny, but the last I saw, they were up like 10 games to the nearest opponent in the Eastern Conference. So like, because they're number 1 in the West, and they were like up 5 in the West. So I know this is gridiron and hoops, but that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I watched one of their 2 losses this year, of course, because I don't get all the games. So I was like, man, like of all the games, I get to catch one of their losses. But hockey, man, hockey's built different. It doesn't matter what seed you are in hockey. 8 seeds can win cups, just as easy as 1 seeds. You don't see it in that like in basketball.
Right.
You might see an 8 seed upset 1 round, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. They're playing great. We don't have to worry about shootouts when it comes to the playoffs because they're just I don't understand how you could be that good but struggle so much with shootouts. But come playoff time, they're on a shootouts, so
Right.
that won't really matter.
Very true. Well, Ben, thank you for joining us. VMAC, thanks for coming on. You guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And for all you listeners, happy holidays. Get some good Christmas food in you and just enjoy the time because it's going to fly by.
Happy holidays.
Late.
Happy holidays. Go Seahawks.
Ah.